There comes a time in your life when the mirror doesn't just reflect your face. It reflects your choices, your truth, and your peace. And in that moment, you ask yourself, not what have I achieved, but am I truly living? Because the real success story isn't in what the world sees. It's in what your soul feels. Today, I want to talk to you about what happens when you stop running after everything and start running toward yourself. There comes a point in your life when you realize no one is coming to rescue you. That point for many of us comes after 50. It's not because you failed or because people have let you down. It's because life has shifted. The people you leaned on before are no longer as close, no longer as available, or maybe they were never capable of giving you what you truly needed. You look around and suddenly the safety nets you thought would always be there are gone. That's when it hits you. If you don't hold yourself up, no one else will. And that realization, my friends, is not a tragedy. It is a gift. Because the day you stop outsourcing your strength is the day you start living from a place of power. Self-reliance is not about building walls so high that no one can reach you. It's not about shutting people out or living in isolation. It's about standing so firm in your own being that you don't collapse when the applause fades, when the calls stop coming, when the people you once depended on are too busy to check in. It's about waking up every single morning and saying to yourself, I got me. Because when your emotional balance depends on someone else, when your happiness is tied to somebody showing up, you are living in chains. The freedom comes when you realize you are the answer you've been waiting for all along. This is what self-reliance looks like. It looks like taking ownership of your choices without blame. It looks like drying your own tears when the world feels heavy. It looks like giving yourself grace on the days when you feel unseen, unheard, and unappreciated. It's learning to clap for yourself in those quiet moments when no one is around to notice your progress. It's saying, I see me, I value me, I celebrate me, because you are no longer waiting for someone else to do it. That is not arrogance. That is not selfishness. That is wisdom. Because the truth is no one can feel your pain the way you do. No one can fulfill your purpose for you. That work belongs to you and only you. And when you choose self-reliance, you stop begging for support. You build it within. You learn to parent your own inner child, to coach your future self, to become the mentor you always wished for. You learn to trust your instincts, not just when it feels easy, but especially when it's hard. You stop asking for permission to live fully. You stop seeking closure from people who benefit from keeping you confused. You close the door yourself. You lock it. You throw away the key because you finally trust your judgment more than you trust other people's excuses. When you understand this, when you embody this, your life changes. You are no longer operating from desperation, hoping someone will pick you, love you, save you. You stop handing the keys to your life to other people and wondering why you keep ending up lost. You take the wheel. You steer your own journey. And the beauty of it all, you realize you were never too weak to carry your own life. You just hadn't yet discovered the courage to stand in your own strength. And when you do, that strength becomes your greatest gift. It becomes your peace. It becomes your freedom. It becomes the foundation for everything else that matters. Because when you have your own back, truly have your own back, there is nothing in this world you cannot face. By the time you reach 50, something profound happens. You begin to hear your body speaking to you in a voice that can no longer be ignored. Every ache, every stiffness, every morning when getting out of bed feels a little heavier, it's all a message. It's your body saying, take care of me, or I won't carry you where you want to go. And if you're wise enough to listen, you will understand that health is not a luxury. Health is your currency. It's more valuable than the titles you've worked for, the applause you've chased, and the possessions sitting in your bank account. Because when you don't have your health, all of that becomes meaningless. None of it matters if you can't climb a flight of stairs without losing your breath. None of it matters if you can't wake up without pain, if your body is exhausted and your mind is clouded. At this stage in life, health is no longer about how you look. It's about how you live. It's about whether you can move freely, whether you can show up fully for the people you love and for yourself. It's about energy, the kind of energy that lets you enjoy the simple things without feeling drained. And let me tell you, energy is everything. Because without it, even the smallest tasks feel like mountains. Without it, life starts shrinking. You stop doing things you once loved because your body says no, your joints say no, your breath says no. And the truth is, you can't keep living like you did at 30 and expect to feel the same at 50. Those late nights, those skipped meals, that neglect you thought you could get away with, it all comes due. The bill always comes. And the older you get, the higher the interest. So what does that mean? It means you can't afford to live on autopilot anymore. You can't afford to put yourself last anymore. You can't afford to ignore the signs because the signs will not stay silent. If you keep pushing past exhaustion, your body will stop you. If you keep burying stress, your body will carry it until it shows up as illness. The things you refuse to release emotionally will show up physically, in your skin, in your blood pressure, in your digestion. Your health is talking to you every single day. The question is, are you listening? Taking care of yourself now is about preservation. It's about respecting the body that has carried you through every season of your life. It's about making choices that support your future self. The one who still wants to walk on the beach, who still wants to dance at a wedding, who still wants to laugh without pain stealing the joy. That future self depends on the choices you make today. The food you put on your plate, the way you move your body, the time you allow yourself to rest, the boundaries you set to protect your peace. Because health isn't built in a doctor's office. It's built in those quiet, ordinary moments when no one is watching, when you choose water over sugar, when you go for a walk instead of collapsing in front of the TV, when you turn off the noise and let your mind breathe. This is the truth. Health is freedom. Health is power. And when you have it, you can do anything. But when you lose it, you lose everything. That's why, after 50, you stop playing games with your well-being. You stop taking chances with the one thing you can't replace. You treat your body like the sacred vessel it is. Because if you want to keep living, not just existing, but really living, you must decide today that your health is worth fighting for, worth protecting, worth everything. There comes a point in your life when you realize that wisdom is not something you can buy, borrow, or fake. Wisdom is earned. And by the time you reach 50, if you've been paying attention, if you've lived through heartbreak and triumph, if you've stumbled and gotten back up again, you understand that wisdom is the quiet treasure that changes everything. It's not loud. It doesn't need to be announced. It lives inside you like a still river, guiding every decision, shaping every response, and reminding you what truly matters. See, when you're younger, you think intelligence is enough. You think if you gather enough facts, learn enough lessons, impress enough people, you'll have it figured out. But wisdom isn't about what you know. It's about what you've lived. It's about what you've learned when life broke your heart, when people disappointed you, when plans fell apart. It's the voice that says, you don't need to argue to prove your worth. You don't need to chase to feel loved. You don't need to explain to be understood. That's what wisdom does. It teaches you the difference between what deserves your energy and what doesn't. When you have wisdom, you don't react to everything that tries to provoke you. You don't accept every invitation to chaos. You don't fight battles that don't belong to you. You start choosing peace over pride, clarity over confusion, purpose over performance. You stop trying to be the loudest in the room because you understand that true power is presence, not noise. You can sit in silence and still command the moment. You can listen without feeling the need to dominate. Because wisdom teaches you restraint. And restraint, my friends, is strength. Wisdom also changes the way you love. You stop falling for potential and start paying attention to patterns. You stop believing words without watching actions. You trust behavior over promises. You don't romanticize red flags just because your heart wants the story to work. You learn that love is not about fixing someone or proving your worth to them. Love is about truth, about reciprocity, about peace. And when it's not that, you let it go without bitterness because wisdom reminds you that holding on to the wrong thing will cost you the right one. And let me tell you something else. Wisdom shifts your relationship with time. You no longer rush through life as if everything must happen now. You stop panicking over delays. You stop crumbling when plans change because you know that what's meant for you will find its way, and what's not meant for you will never stay, no matter how hard you push. You learn to trust the timing of your life, even when you don't understand it, because you've seen enough to know that every detour had a lesson, every disappointment had a gift. Wisdom makes you intentional with your words, with your energy, with your space. You don't overshare. You don't overcommit. You don't overextend because you know the cost of reclaiming what you give away carelessly. You speak less, but you mean more. You move slower, but with purpose. And when you laugh deeper. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. That is wisdom. It's not about being perfect. It's about being awake, being present, and knowing yourself so well that the world can't shake you. That is the wealth you carry when everything else fades. There comes a moment in life when you realize that peace is no longer just a nice thing to have. It becomes a lifeline. After 50, you start to understand that peace is not something that just happens when everything around you is calm. Peace is a choice. Peace is work. Peace is power. And the older you get, the more sacred that power becomes because you've lived long enough to know what life feels like without it. You know what it feels like to carry chaos inside your body, to let drama dictate your days, to lose sleep because you let other people's storms become your own. And one day you wake up and decide, never again. You begin to realize that your peace is not the world's responsibility. It's not your partner's responsibility. It's not your children's responsibility. It belongs to you. And that means you have to protect it like your life depends on it. Because it does. Protecting your peace means making choices that once felt uncomfortable. It means saying no when every part of you was trained to say yes. It means walking away from the noise, even when the noise comes from people you love. Because love without boundaries will drain you. Loyalty without limits will break you. And you know now that you cannot pour from an empty cup. When you start valuing peace, you stop entertaining chaos just because it's familiar. You stop accepting dysfunction because it comes disguised as family or friendship or love. You become selective, not from a place of ego, but from a place of survival. You pay attention to how certain environments make you feel. You notice how certain conversations leave you heavy. You see who always brings gossip, judgment, and negativity into your space. And instead of trying to change them, instead of exhausting yourself fixing what they refuse to fix, you remove yourself quietly, consistently, completely, because your peace is not negotiable. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. Protecting your peace isn't just about people. Sometimes the loudest threat to your peace is the voice inside your own head, the critic that keeps replaying past regrets. The fear that whispers, what if you're not enough? The shame that says, you should have done more. And you learn to silence that voice, not by ignoring it, but by speaking truth to it. By reminding yourself of everything you've survived, everything you've overcome, everything you've built. You begin to show yourself the same compassion you once gave to everybody else. Because peace starts on the inside before it ever shows up on the outside. And let me tell you, protecting your peace requires discipline. It's the discipline to choose not to scroll through drama the moment you wake up, to choose not to respond to that text that will pull you back into the same cycle you worked so hard to escape. It's the discipline to say no, to cancel the plans, to honor your capacity even when others don't understand. It's the discipline to feed your mind with truth, your body with care, and your spirit with stillness. Because peace grows when you stop running from yourself. When you stop looking for distractions and start doing the inner work. People may not understand. They may call you distant. They may call you selfish. They may guilt you for outgrowing the chaos they still live in. But you don't explain. You don't justify. You don't apologize. Because you know now that peace is not a privilege. It is a necessity. And the moment you choose it, fully, unapologetically, you change the way you live. You breathe differently. You walk differently. You love differently. And that, my friends, is freedom. There comes a season in your life when you understand that financial freedom is not just about numbers. It's not just about the size of your paycheck or the balance in your account. It's about peace. It's about choice. It's about being able to live on your own terms without the weight of guilt, obligation, and expectations that were never yours to carry. And after 50, that truth becomes louder than ever, because by now you've given enough, you've sacrificed enough, you've carried enough. And you know what it feels like to put everyone else first and end up last in your own life. Financial freedom is not about being selfish. It's about being wise. It's about understanding that you cannot build a stable future if your money is tied up in emotional debts. You cannot plan for retirement if you're constantly rescuing adults who refuse to take responsibility for their own lives. You cannot take care of your health, your needs, your dreams if you keep emptying your pockets to fulfill someone else's version of what they think you should be doing. And yet, so many of us carry that pressure, especially from family. The expectation to give, to provide, to keep saying yes, even when saying yes means saying no to yourself. But the truth is, this history is not a reason to go broke. Love is not an excuse to be used. You start to realize that every dollar you spend, every financial decision you make, is either pulling you toward freedom or chaining you to stress. And financial stress is one of the heaviest burdens to carry. It robs you of sleep. It steals your joy. It makes you question your worth. But here's the thing, you can change that. You can decide today to draw a line, to stop living for other people's approval, to stop letting guilt write the checks, to stop sacrificing your future for someone else's comfort in the present. You can choose stability over manipulation. You can choose peace over pressure. And let me tell you what happens when you do. You stop overextending yourself. You stop making decisions from a place of fear. You stop trying to keep up with people who aren't even thinking about your well-being. You start saying no, and not with anger, not with resentment, but with clarity. You start creating boundaries that protect your financial health the same way you protect your physical health, your emotional health, because they are all connected. When your money is a mess, your mind is a mess. When your money is at peace, everything feels lighter. Financial freedom is not about greed. It's about security. It's about dignity. It's about the ability to make choices without being controlled by someone else's demands. And that requires courage. Courage to face the discomfort of saying no. Courage to let go of roles you've outgrown. Courage to believe that your well-being matters just as much as anyone else's. Because the truth is, if you keep draining yourself to keep everyone else happy, you'll wake up one day with nothing left. Nothing in the bank, nothing in your spirit, nothing in your body. And that's not love. That's not loyalty. That's losing yourself. So you learn to redefine what generosity looks like. You learn that helping someone doesn't mean bankrupting yourself, financially or emotionally. You learn that it's okay to prioritize your future without apology. Because the greatest gift you can give the people you love is not constant rescue. It's stability. It's strength. It's showing them what it looks like to stand on your own feet so they can do the same. And when you embrace that, when you start making choices, when you reach this season of life, the noise of the world starts to fade and the whispers of your soul grow louder. Those whispers remind you of what truly matters. Not applause, not comparison, not proving anything to anyone, but living with intention, with freedom, and with peace. You've walked through storms, you've carried the weight of expectations, and now you've earned the right to live on your own terms. This chapter isn't about chasing, it's about choosing. Choosing health over hustle, choosing wisdom over worry, choosing peace over chaos, and yes, choosing yourself without apology. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. And everything you have been through has prepared you for this. This moment of clarity, this moment of strength, this moment where you finally say, I deserve the life that feels like mine. So walk forward with courage. Walk forward with power. And above all, walk forward knowing this truth: your best years aren't behind you. They are waiting for you to claim them.